Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we're working to connect women in leadership and business to improve the health and empowering each other, building better relationships to improve the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, and soul, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
Yay!
And today is a super special episode. It is our second special episode that we've done on post-traumatic stress disorder,
or PTSD, commonly referred to as PTSD. So this is like in addition to the episode we did back in, I want to say October.
Yeah, so we dropped the link to the blog post, which has a write-up. It has resources, and you can watch the whole episode where we talk about PTSD. And for me, I got goosebumps.
What it is,
just
how it
like
affects us.
just realizing that I actually have PTSD has been a game changer. Like really acknowledging and not shaming myself for having it. And not thinking, well, I can't have it because I'm not a veteran, like just getting those things out of my head and really realizing, yeah, that's what's happening.
That's what's
the
happening.
Brain fog, the things that affect me like daily,
Yeah.
So,
well, knowing that I'm dealing with PTSD and knowing that my husband deals with PTSD, and we're both veterans, and his PTSD is combat related, mine is not, but it was still during my military service. It doesn't change the fact that I have PTSD too, even though it's not combat related. I used to feel bad because it wasn't combat related PTSD. Like I didn't go fight in Afghanistan like my buddies. Why is this affecting me? It's like that fear and shame. It's the shame about it. Like I don't just deserve to be qualified as that.
I felt like it was almost like a badge of honor that our soldiers were wearing, like out of respect, like respecting them was not taking their things away from them.
Yeah, but PTSD affects what did we read, like 4
where it's in one of the articles,
8 million Americans. So 8 million Americans are affected
daily
by PTSD daily.
So you're really not alone.
Right.
We are not alone.
The good news is it's something you can work through and learn to manage, but the bad news is it doesn't ever really go away. There's not a cure for PTSD. There are treatments that have been proven to be successful, but there is not currently a cure.
Right.
For PTSD.
There's not like a magic pill, one thing fix all, because it's how our body stored the trauma that we endured.
Yeah.
So,
and not only do we hold on to that trauma emotionally, and we react to trauma-inducing experiences, but we also hold on to that trauma physically.
Yeah.
That PTSD affects us physically. When we're working through some stuff, we feel aches and pains in our body that maybe we didn't feel those aches and pains before. Like my current thing that I've been working through is my fear of abandonment, right? My abandonment issues and things like that. And the whole time I've been working through it, my neck and shoulder on my right side has been really kind of tight and crunchy and messed up, and I can feel that in my body. But I know that as I work through this, there's going to be a time where it lets go. My muscles let go and relax because I let go and relaxed. Like I let go of that thing. So
It's really awesome to watch you do it, because with your yoga training and all the time you've spent doing yoga, you have such a connection to yourself that watching you is amazing. Like, because the emotion comes up, you'll cry, you'll just let it out and it'll flow. And then you come out on this other side with this like new vibration, like you're lighter, like you can tell that you feel better.
Right.
Like you processed it, and it's really a cool gift that you can give yourself to know yourself that well.
Yeah. And it's taken a lot of time and practice, years of time and
Because
practice.
it's a journey.
It is. And I have definitely been feeling the struggle lately because I haven't been able to do that self-care for myself as much as I used to.
I know we totally disrupted the space, making the studio and getting new couches, and
I had to move my yoga stuff inside.
So we moved the yoga stuff, but then it's like creating that new routine and taking that space and owning it again. And you've been settling in, and that's hard. And then to get the new routine.
So I've gotten a little stiff. By getting out of the routine, but I am getting back into the routine, so that's good.
I mean, the first thing you do is notice, right? Get back to the basics. Okay, I'm off track. Right, like
that's also the same thing on how you figure out your own trauma, right? Your own PTSD is you have to be aware of it first, right? Like, for example, let's say you grew up in a traumatic environment. Okay, you walk away with some PTSD. Actually, it's right here.
Are we going to get to it?
Yeah, we're going to get to it. Okay,
we're going to get to it. So I really want to say before we move into the articles that what we're trying to do by creating this conversation is normalizing the conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how this is affecting our lives.
Right.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was we were going to air this in July, right before 4th of July. Right. Because to me, that's always a time of awareness for veterans and our neighbors. So
we changed things up.
Our first article is an article on PTSD and fireworks, and that's where we learned that 8 million Americans do deal with it. So how can we be more considerate to those neighbors? Did you want to read that section of the article?
Well, I can just tell you that. Okay. So
that works.
Being considerate neighbors and being considerate for those with PTSD is one and the same. So when you choose to do fireworks, veterans expect fireworks on days like the 4th of July, right? It is to be expected, and they prepare ahead of time for that.
That's the day that, everyone gives their dogs CBDs.
Right.
Like you put the dogs and the cats inside. This is the time when we're expecting fireworks. Right. I liked what the article said, not on a random Tuesday at 10 a.m.
Right.
Like the unexpected fireworks are where we,
And then respecting the noise ordinance boundaries around that also. So when you do fireworks on the 4th of July, you're supposed to wrap those up by like 10 o'clock at night, and being respectful to your neighbors. Your neighbors might have PTSD. They might have kids, or they might have pets that have been inside all day because fireworks, or the kids are exhausted and need to sleep, or the people with PTSD dealing with
people that don't
PTSD.
Do fireworks. Like if there's like all the things,
sensory issues. So people who have these things, aversions, and are aware of them, prepare for them ahead of time. So we used to leave town and go camping out in the middle of the woods somewhere, nowhere near civilization, so that fireworks were not a non-issue. Now we can be home, but our neighborhood is fairly quiet the 4th of July.
We have a lot of trees, so it's harder
and it muffles the sound.
But it's also like you don't want to like let off a bunch of fireworks in the middle of the forest, like
that too.
So like that helps.
Let's not catch our trees on fire. So
I guess that's the other considerate thing is like being considerate of where you're lighting them off. right? I mean, that should be given.
Where, what time, when, and please don't be one of those neighbors that, oh, I have extra fireworks after the 4th of July, so I'm going to use them every time the Seahawks score a touchdown. It's
hard.
It's
so hard.
It's hard on.
I've lived
on
in
your
that
neighbors.
neighborhood.
Yeah. Right. We love our Seahawks, but
I do love the Seahawks, and I'm down for cheering, but it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and then so as much preparation as veterans and those with PTSD and aversion to fireworks do to prepare themselves for that day or whatever, be respectful to your neighbors about it.
Right.
That's pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
I like it. Like at the end of the Strawberry Festival, they always have fireworks. Like, so you know what's going to happen. Right. Or the cannon's coming in the parade. Like, what's happening. Like, I like those things. Like, they even the people in the cannon are like, they give you warning that, there's countdown, they make fun with it. So people know that it's happening so that they can handle that.
Right.
Like, because when you don't know, like, why is there a cannon going off next door to me? Like, that's scary.
When you say that, I always think of like that old Navy veteran guy from like Mary Poppins shooting the cannon off the roof. So that's funny.
That's fantastic.
And then another thing we wanted to talk about is parenting with PTSD. Okay,
this is a fabulous article, you guys.
Let's say, it's a really long article. The links are above in the comments. You can find it there.
Yes, absolutely. They are there, and they will also be in the descriptions everywhere we post. So they'll be there.
Yeah. So the links are in there. And so this article on parenting with PTSD is like walking you through how to not take your own stuff that you're working on within yourself and putting it on your kids or on your family. And parenting is a journey that has been burdened with shame, anxiety, insecurity, and doubt from the very beginning. Right? We are judged on how we parent.
We're judged from the second we are pregnant.
Yeah.
How are you going to, don't eat that, eat this, don't eat that. Take your folic acid, do this, do that. Right. Like,
are you getting your vitamins? Are you getting
Did you go for your walk?
Did you drink enough water?
And then how are you going to give birth? Are you going to have an epidural? Is it going to be natural? Like, there's so much like judgment that happens the entire time we're pregnant. No wonder why we come out
anxious, right? An anxious mess.
Like, that's just from being a parent. Like, that doesn't even mean anything else, right? Like,
right.
That doesn't count the life experiences.
Then you add PTSD into that. So not only are you trying to deal with your own trauma, but then you have this added stuff piled on there. So for some survivors of family dysfunction, which is PTSD, by the way, trauma, neglect, abuse, or loss, their symptoms are recurrent. However, for many, their emotional symptoms of their old wounds come firing up when they are parenting their own children. Because we're tired, we're exhausted.
We have a story we told ourselves.
Frustrated. We have a story we told ourselves about what it looks like to parent.
Because of my experience as a child, waking up every day on my own and not having someone up with me, it was really important for me to get up every day with my kids.
Right.
So then I put that pressure on myself, and like, even when they're older, like, I'm like, it's okay if I sleep in. Like, it's like, how do I let go of some of that story, relax a little, like, and that's hard.
It is hard. It is hard. And it's also really hard to not carry on the habits from our parents through ourselves and into our kids, right? Because and we'll talk about this during 4 Agreements Week, but it is because we have been trained to treat people a certain way. We have been domesticated as humans to have certain expectations,
Right.
right? And those are the agreements that we place upon ourselves
Yeah.
and that we place upon other people, even though
They may not know that they need to pick that up.
right. So this article that we posted the links in on parenting with PTSD has some tools that you can use to work through your PTSD while parenting. And it's, separating your trauma from how you want your kids to live.
Well, noticing that the reason why you're reacting to something is because of your own personal trauma, not because your kids are actually doing anything that is quote wrong.
And it has some examples of things that we might face as parents because of our trauma. Like one of the examples was giving your kid a bath creates anxiety and fear because maybe you were sexually assaulted as a child, or whatever the case may be, or not letting your kids play on top of the monkey bars because you fell off when you were a kid and broke your leg, as some examples of trauma that then we carry on to our kids.
Right.
It's it can be those little things or it can be those big things, right? And think about how we expect our kids to clean their rooms as an example. That is very reflective of what we went through as a kid.
Right.
The things we care about as adults, as far as cleanliness goes, it was put onto us by those who came before us. That's just an example.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. Trauma, right? Are we continuing passing on the trauma, or did it stop? Are we not passing that on? Are we learning to do better? And it's hard. It is 10 times harder when you have gone through that trauma to not carry it with you.
And to acknowledge it. I mean, because you could, go blindly through it and just recreate the trauma that you had, and then you're just continuing the cycle, which is the opposite of what we will want to do for our communities here with this podcast, is to have these dialogues, have the conversations so that we can talk about these things and heal and work on ourselves collectively.
Absolutely. The next article we have posted in the comments there and in the description is an article on running a business with PTSD. Scott Dillon on how to cope with complex PTSD while running a business. So
complex PTSD is PTSD with a few more symptoms added in, kind of. So it's like PTSD up leveled because it was already fun, right?
Right. The article says that complex PTSD encompasses all the symptoms of PTSD as well as additional symptoms that are usually also triggered by traumatic experiences. These additional symptoms include difficulty controlling emotions, avoiding relationships, experiencing dissociative symptoms, and feeling distrustful, empty, or hopeless. Scott also emphasizes that insomnia can be a particularly challenging symptom. Lack of sleep has a direct impact on your output and productivity, which can be a huge problem for business leaders.
Right, because then, as business leaders, we always have our brains are always going. We are always on it, right? Like this is where those tools like brain dumps come in handy. Yes. The tools around, we've talked about nidra, sleep. All of these tools help us show up better for ourselves.
Every day. And that's why we talk to you guys about these tools every week. And this week's tools is about being confident and not taking from others. And I think that goes a lot well with the PTSD piece because, there's confidence that comes through working through these PTSD symptoms to, do better, to be better, and to pass better on to our kids so that they don't have to go through the same things we did. And then also, not taking from others includes not taking their joy. Just because our joy was taken away from us, causing these PTSD symptoms, or, whatever happened to us, we had something taken away from us. We have to get that back, but we do not have to take
from others in
we
the
don't have to
process of
take from others.
healing ourselves.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There were lots of resources for businesses in this article for
Several.
PTSD and around mental health at work in general, which was great.
So if you're interested in those, grab the article and check it out.
That some of the top tips for working through PTSD was starting with polishing your financial skills, preparing a budget-friendly marketing plan, taking time for yourself.
Self-care, very important.
And don't go it alone. Have a community. You need someone around that can be like, hey, you're having a brain day. Are you okay?
Right.
Is there, how do I help you get through? What do we need to get done today? Like having someone to help you time manage when you can't.
And communication and creating space, right? Where it's a space that opens up that conversation to talk about how we're feeling that day and things like that. I know my husband has certain accommodations set up through work because of his PTSD that he is able to step off the floor for a few minutes and reset as needed, right? Take a couple minutes and reset. But he works really hard and he gets his job done. So it doesn't look like he's slacking or missing out or anything like that either. So there's this careful balance that you kind of have to do, but you also, it includes that communication piece, like, hey, I'm having a moment. I need to step away and just have a few breaths for myself. Give me 10 and I'll be back, right? And so I think that's super, super important. And the fact that we don't have to do these things by ourselves anymore.
Yes.
Find your people, get your resources, get your community together, because sometimes we have more abundance.
There's this like lonely moment in time where you maybe are realizing the people around you aren't helping you through what you know, and they aren't helping you connect to what you need to do. So sometimes there's this like shift in your people around you, and there's this moment where you maybe feel alone, but you're really not. People are coming, like, so just remember that and don't be afraid to reach out. Like, you're really not alone. It just feels really lonely at that moment. It's a moment, it will pass.
Right.
I like that a lot.
And if you are feeling prolonged loneliness, reach out to your resources. And if you need help finding resources, reach out to us and we'll help you find those resources. Okay. We're not going to leave you. We are not leaving you alone.
Exactly. And we're not alone.
We're not.
And our last article is about pandemic PTSD and business.
Oh my gosh.
Which I know affects us all because we've all been through this pandemic together. So I liked the way that people are seeing this type of PTSD show up in employees is they may be afraid to return to work. And I'm hearing that a lot. From our local,
they don't want to go back to
nobody wants to
in a
work
cubicle or whatever because they're close proximity.
Nobody
with so
wants
many other
to
people.
Be a server at the restaurant, like, because they're afraid to go out and be around people. Those who return will have fears that prevent them from fulfilling all of their responsibilities. So we really have to work through those. They're seeing it on boards of directors and shareholders. Excuse me.
There has been a collective inertia in some quadrants with boards and shareholders waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Everybody is
just frozen
in like standby mode. They're waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like, what's the next bad, horrible thing that's going to happen, right? When in reality, you know, we're,
If you wait for it, it'll happen.
yeah, if you expect it,
Yeah.
it'll happen. So, you know, resetting your mindset around that, and resetting your business mindset around that. Like, okay, guys, we're, you know, all this stuff is happening in the world, but we're going to continue moving forward. And this is how we're going to do it. It's having a plan of action for your people.
Organizations in general are feeling sluggish and
like
holding back innovation and not putting it all their all out there because they feel like they're too small to make a difference. But it's the small,
or they'll just get started and it'll get disrupted by another shutdown or another thing, because we all know somebody who we've lost, you know, through the pandemic. We all know somebody who lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, you know, because of everything that's gone on the last couple of years. There's been a lot of trauma and loss for everybody, you know. Everybody's lives were upended by the pandemic. Nobody was immune, not a single person. And we are continuing to feel the effects of what the world has had go on over the last couple of years. And we are very blessed to be living where we are right now. Period. Like, we have food, we have water, we have access to these things that some countries right now don't. And that's both terrifying and blessing. Like, I feel very blessed to be living right now in this world where we are.
The gratitude for each day.
Yeah.
Especially on a beautiful day.
Because we didn't get to choose where we were born, who we were born to, and what country we were born in. You know, we didn't choose that. We didn't choose the color of our skin. We were just born. This is the color of our skin. Right. So anyway.
So some things that article talked about to help with workplace pandemic PTSD is they are using stress inclusion therapy. So this is an interesting concept where you're introducing small amounts of the stress triggers so that you kind of just desensitize yourself a little bit to it.
Yeah, and I think this is why a lot of businesses are starting to go back to in-work, but like doing alternating shifts with people, like or you know, they go into the office 2 days a week.
Think about it like,
you know, it's like baby,
like you're practicing doing it. Like,
yeah, it's like when you sometimes kindergarten or preschool programs have like like their first day is only like 2 hours,
right? Coming into work and then
and have circle time and cookies and then go home, right? So it's like building up that resistance again, because and building up those habits, because we've been out of habit. I mean, my one of my sisters recently went back to work at the office, you know, and she goes in like 3 days a week now or something like that. But her first day back at work in the office, it's the first time she had been working in an office in like 2.5 years. And she's like, well, now I gotta get up early, take the kids to daycare, get dressed, you know, do my makeup.
Hopefully get dressed before you take the kids to daycare.
She's like, I can't.
Yeah, maybe.
She's like, I can't just take the kids to daycare in my pajamas, go home. I got a messy bun and I put my headset on and I get to work, because nobody sees her. Right. It was on the phone and on the computer. But now people see her and she's like, okay, now I have to like
do the things,
work and do all the things. But
there's been some fun
so there's
memes and things around like trying to put your jeans on to go to work, like things like that, like So the next thing they have you working on is working on your mindset.
Yes.
So like that's what we do every week, every Monday, Mindset Monday. That's what we work on is our mindset. So that's like working on that positive mental state so that you can be more resilient in the stress.
Right. So you're not waiting for that other shoe to drop because you're looking forward into the future in a positive mindset as opposed to doom and gloom.
Yes.
Right.
And then the final tool we're offering today is finding your higher purpose. Mm-hmm. Because when you find something that you're passionate about and that you want to be contributing, it's no longer about you, and it helps you step out of you and be in that uncomfortable zone. It makes it easier to be in that uncomfortable zone.
And how many of us over the last couple of years feel like they've lost their purpose? Right? Had the rug ripped out from under them and they feel like they lost their purpose and had to reset.
Are refining it.
Yeah, are refining it now. And that's a process to go through. And there's going to be a lot of trauma associated with the pandemic for years to come.
Yeah.
Years to come. It's going to affect all of our
it's going to affect our kids with their schooling. It affects like how industry grew. We definitely made some good progress. Like, you know, we a lot more virtual, a lot more connecting with our families and, you know, some of those things. But when we slowed down, we also needed to slow down because we needed to breathe.
And I think that was one of the good things that came out of the pandemic. And not everybody looks at it that way, as like a reset, a mental reset. Being able to step back and reevaluate things is a blessing.
But that's the mindset, right? Like,
yeah,
it's how, what way are you looking at the situation?
Yeah. You know, we've all been through some crap, and it's how you look back at it and grow from it that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So we're looking at things and we're growing every day.
So don't forget, you can always go to the website, www.womeninleadership BSMB. We have the PTSD blog resource page. And this will be no different. This will be put on there and also be under the category of our specials about PTSD. Yeah. This is very near and dear to our hearts, and creating that dialogue so that we can talk about things.
Right. Yeah, because we all know somebody who's dealing with these things if it's not ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those resources are going to be available on the page. You got to give Heather a little bit of time to get it up there, but she's really awesome about getting all the things.
Well, I'm doing really good with season 3. Like, this season is going up good, and season 2 is coming. We're just working out some
catching
kinks and them doing the catch up. But
I mean, we did decide to do the blog toward the end of season 2.
I know. I got season 1 done.
So anyway, check out all the things on the website at www.womeninleadership.bsmb, and make sure to check out the community calendar with all the upcoming events and fun things going on. If you guys have anything to share with us, reach out, let us know. We'd love to continue the conversation. And
the last thing I want to talk about today is the cause of the quarter.
Oh, yes.
The Boogie Bin is absolutely an amazing organization helping animal rescuers do their animal rescuing. So they find the little organizations that are doing amazing work for these needy animals that have like their heart and souls are into it, and they are putting these bins out so that we can donate our gently used or new items to their monthly cause.
Yeah. And if they get some things that maybe that cause can't use, they make sure to save it or pass it on to someone who can. So everything that gets donated gets reused.
Yeah,
as long as it's reusable.
They find a home for it.
Yeah,
like if they know, she knows so many, and I hope you guys listen to her blog or listen to her blog. I write the blog, listen to her podcast
last night.
Yeah, I hope that you did, because she really shares you know, where this came from for her, and so check that out.
her heart and spirit of all that.
Yeah.
So check out the Boogie Bin.
Yeah.
Also in the
Thank
links.
you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Charlie, for holding this space.
Thank you, Heather, for helping me hold this space. I couldn't have these conversations without you and our community. So thank you. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Okay.
Okay, we love you, and thank you for being part of our community. Thank you.
Mwah.
Namaste.
Namaste.